Colorado's highest court heard arguments today on whether to keep former President Donald Trump off the ballot. A Denver district judge ruled last month that Trump engaged in an insurrection, but that he can stay on the ballot because the 14th Amendment does not apply to the president.
The liberal group trying to ban Trump and Trump's legal team both appeal. 9 News political reporter Marshall Zellinger is live outside the state Supreme Court. And depending on what the justices decide, this could end up at the U.S. Supreme Court, Marshall.
Yeah, if the Colorado Supreme Court rules that Trump should be disqualified from the ballot because of the 14th Amendment and his role in an insurrection, Kim, then yes, Trump's team, I got confirmation today, will appeal to the U.S. Supreme Court. But if the court here rules that Trump can remain on the ballot, then the group that's trying to kick him off the ballot they didn't confirm today, they may try to appeal to the U.S. Supreme Court. The hearing lasted 2 hours. It just ended about 3 p.m. The gist is, did former President Trump engage in insurrection like the lower court ruled? And does the 14th Amendment apply, which would disqualify him from holding future office? First, you're going to hear from the attorney representing the group wanting to disqualify Trump, followed by Trump's attorney about his definition of insurrection, then one of the justices' thoughts on how to deal with the definition of insurrection.
Section 3 of the 14th Amendment is our Constitution's self-defense mechanism. It stands for the idea that those who took an oath to support the Constitution and then betrayed that sacred duty by engaging in insurrection against it cannot again be entrusted with public office.
Now you're going to tell me, Mr. Gesser, you're making it up. And I'm going to say, well, so did the judge. And I'll say, we're all sort of making it up at the end of the day.
For purposes of this case, what we need to do is figure out whether what happened on January 6th, one of the things we need to do is figure out whether what happened on January 6th constituted an insurrection. We don't need to come up with a definition for all times and all circumstances.
There are several facets of what these justices have to decide that could determine the next steps. Ultimately, it's, does Colorado law allow for a Colorado court to decide the interpretation of the U.S. Constitution? If the court here decides that that should have never gone to a Colorado court, that this should have been a constitutional claim in federal court from the start, then this kind of stops and wouldn't make it to the Supreme Court probably. There's that aspect. There's the definition of insurrection, and did the former president meet that definition? And then even if that is in place, Kim, it's does the Colorado Secretary of State have the power to keep him off the ballot because of all that? There's a lot of stuff that they're going to have to unscramble here.
That's why it's in the state Supreme Court. When do you expect we're going to have a decision?
Okay, I'm never good at this. Coincidence or irony, they have to decide by January 6th. I kid you not.
Oh my goodness.
And we'll get emails whether it's coincidence or irony. And before I toss it back to you, Kim, one last time. People won't make it up to the Supreme Court here watching this at home. I've only been here twice now. I just want to show you, Mike Rady's behind the camera, I have to show you the view from the hallway of the Colorado Supreme Court looking out over Lincoln and the Capitol. I mean, this is the kind of atrium that should exist in anybody's home, I think.
You know what? I am so glad you showed us this. You're right. Most of us will never, ever get there. That's gorgeous. How cool is that?
So come check it out now.
Okay. And do we have to do that complicated stuff you just did? No? I don't have to understand.
You can just sit in and watch. You can watch. You don't have to report on it.
Okay. I like it. I dig it. Thank you, Marshall.